Hey game developers, and welcome back to the C# Fundamentals for Unity course. I'm Bilal from Zenfinity.net, and in this video we're going to be covering variables, and this can be a pretty fun part of programming in my opinion, because you just get a much bigger level of control. It's another one of those use everyday concepts, like last time where we talked about switch statements and if-else statements. So why don't we go ahead and just get into it here. So we have up here, I'm going to delete this old code. And by the way, this is me using Visual Studio. If you want to install Visual Studio and you don't know how, just go ahead and look at the first episode. You can click the link to it in the top right. And I'll just go ahead and start with this code now. So the first thing I'm going to do here is put down an integer variable. So in C#, when we declare variables, we typically, for the most part, put a type before the name of the variable. So let's put an int, an integer. And notice immediately how I have this I in integer capitalized. That's because in a variable, the convention for C# is to begin with a lowercase word and then an uppercase word. So for example, if I name this something else, like say, let's say character health, right? So character health, right? And let's go with the health concept, since either we all like games here or you like programming at least. If you don't like games or programming, I don't know why you'd be watching this, but I like games, so I'm going to use character health here, and so I'll write equals 10. And let's just say, like our character has 10 health, and this is our variable, and now we can do whatever we want with it, and hopefully that's exciting, and if not, maybe we can make it exciting. So let's go ahead and in our main print character health. So let's write console.writeLine character health. And we will put a semicolon at the end here. And the reason for that is because this is static, so why don't we go ahead and make this a static int. And if you don't know what static is or classes are, don't worry about any of that right now. Just know that we have to make an integer static, or we need to have static access to it if we want to access it in the main function, which is static. So let's go ahead and just see what this prints for us, and hopefully it'll print 10. So before I do that, I want to just say console.readKey is going to make it so the window will not close until I press a button. So it's important to have that at the end to see your output. And I'm in Visual Studio, so I can hit Start or F5 to run this code, and we will see what happens after. Right, so we just see the number 10 printed because we didn't do anything with it. We just went ahead and assigned that number to a variable, but they are called variables for a good reason. So let's go ahead and change our variable and see what it'll print after, right? So let's go ahead and say character health, let's just say equals character health minus, let's say 5, right? And then we obviously will print 5, and I'll just show you really quick. Now we see 10, then 5. Cool, right? So after that, why don't we go ahead and bring back some of our control structures to see what we can do with this. And yeah, have some conditionals run, right? So let's say at the beginning here, if character health is greater than 5, let's go ahead and print character health is above 5, right? Oops. Okay, and so this is before we change it, but once we make it into 5 right here, so let's say if it's greater than 5 here, then we'll just try to print the same thing, right? But the problem is that it's not going to be above 5 anymore. So let's hit F5, and we see only health is above 5 prints once, and that's obviously because it's not over 5 once we hit this if statement. So that's, this is the main part about what variables really are. But let's go ahead and use something other than just an integer. So let's go ahead and delete this stuff. Let's say, I don't know, static string character name is equal to, I don't know, let's say John, right? Okay. So our character's name is John, right? And let's just, at the beginning, print console.writeLine. Our character's name is, and notice how I leave a space at the end here, because we can do plus character name, right? And you can guess what that's going to do. It'll obviously just add this, or concatenate this John at the end here. That's kind of what you would expect, I think, with a plus here. So that's one way that operator is overridden for strings. So, and by the way, we went over operators in the third section, so if you want to get more clarification about how this is working, go ahead and check that out. And it's also in the top right, so you can go ahead and click the third episode. Okay, so I'm going to hit F5 and run this, and we'll see our character's name is John. Perfect. Okay, so I'll close this. And now we have an understanding of how we can kind of mess with these string variables, right? So why don't we go ahead and, concatenate something ahead of, onto the end of our character's name. So let's say character name equals character name, and this equal sign here, this, sorry I didn't go over it before, but it's the assignment operator. So whatever's on the left side will be assigned whatever is on the right side. And it's not the same as evaluating a statement to see if it's true. This is just going to be putting a new value inside of a variable. Okay, so it'll equal character name plus, let's say, I don't know, what's the last, Smith. Smith is the last name. And notice I have the space again. And let's go ahead and see console.writeLine. Our character's new name is John Smith, right? So just because I added this on to the end here, let's go ahead and hit F5. And now we see our character's new name is John Smith, because now we know his last name, so we go ahead and print that. And yeah, these are really the fundamentals of variables. This is all I want to do in this episode, because I don't see the reason to really kind of squander this episode. I mean, basically variables are things of any type that you can manipulate, you can assign them, you can add things to them, you can multiply them, you can use operators on them, right? To change them to be whatever you want them to be. And then after you do that, you can use them to determine what you want your program to do. So we determined we want our program to print whatever character name is. And then we can add something to it, a last name. So we added a last name to it and then printed that alongside the first name. So that's kind of basic programming. In the future, you would maybe want to have input to type something in to change your character's name and stuff like that. And maybe you'd have a game loop where your character can get damaged. But that's all more advanced stuff that we'll cover in the future. So for now, thanks for watching this video. Hit a like if it made sense and helped you out, and hit subscribe and hit the bell that's underneath this video to see the rest of these videos and get an alert for them. And also, if you're interested in making your first game super fast, check out the sample video from our course in the top right. The course is also 90% off, so you can click in the link below if you just want to check out the course instead of the sample video. I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.